He was a powerful millionaire, used to being served and demanding respect. But as he walked into a modest restaurant to collect the rent, he stopped immediately. His eyes fixed on a young girl with trembling hands. Exhausted, wearing a dirty apron and struggling to carry heavy plates. He froze, unable to believe what he was seeing. How had that girl, so young, with a face marked by exhaustion, ended up serving tables to survive? What he discovered next would change both of their lives forever. Chicago's skyline cut sharp edges against the autumn sky as Daniel Walker gazed out from his corner office on the 40th floor of Walker Tower. Gray clouds gathered on the horizon, promising rain by afternoon. Perfect weather to match his mood. "Mr. Walker, the quarterly reports are ready for review," his assistant said from the doorway, her voice carefully neutral. She'd learned years ago that emotional displays of any kind irritated him. Daniel didn't turn. "Leave them on my desk, Rebecca." The sound of manila folders being placed on polished mahogany, followed by the soft click of the door closing. Daniel allowed himself a moment longer at the window, watching a flock of birds navigate between skyscrapers. Freedom of a sort. At 48, Daniel Walker had everything money could buy and nothing that truly mattered. The thought arrived with familiar bitterness as he turned to his desk, straightening his already perfect tie, a habit from his youth when his father would inspect him each morning with cold, critical eyes. "Appearance is currency, Daniel. People buy what they see." Alan Walker's voice still echoed in his mind. 15 years after his father's death, Daniel ran his hand over the smooth surface of his desk, letting his fingers linger on the single framed photograph he allowed himself. Jessica, his younger sister, laughing at her 21st birthday party, 2 years before the accident that took her life. His intercom buzzed. "Mr. Walker, your father's attorney is on line 1. Daniel frowned. William Hobbs had been his father's personal lawyer, handling the more delicate aspects of the Walker empire. Their conversations were rare these days, and never pleasant. "Hobbs, what is it?" "Good morning to you too, Daniel." The old lawyer's voice carried the rasp of decades of expensive cigars. "I'm calling about Lincoln Park Property 347B. Daniel pulled up the property database on his computer. "The restaurant." "What about it?" "Final notice expired yesterday. It's been 6 months since they've made minimum payments on the loan. And send the standard collection team." There was a pause on the line. "Your father had it flagged for personal attention." Daniel's fingers stilled on the keyboard. Alan Walker had been dead for 15 years, yet his shadow still fell across the business in unexpected ways. "Why would a failing restaurant in Lincoln Park require my personal attention?" The note simply says, "Family matter, personal collection only." A memory surfaced. His father sitting at this very desk, making calls to collect on debts that weren't financially significant, but seemed personally important to him. Daniel had assumed it was about intimidation, teaching Chicago's small business owners who really own the city. "I'll handle it," Daniel said, ending the call without waiting for a response. He scrolled through the loan details. Thompson's Home Kitchen, a small family restaurant struggling since opening 8 years ago. Owner Linda Thompson, a former nurse with no restaurant experience. Nothing unusual except his father's cryptic note. Rain began to spatter against the window as Daniel's mind drifted to another rainy day 15 years ago. His last day with Claire Morgan. "You can't possibly be this naive," Claire had said, her green eyes bright with anger as she paced his penthouse living room. "The Brookside Heights project isn't just another development. People have lived there for generations. It's business, Claire. The land is valuable, and those leases were designed to expire. People will lose their homes. Entire families displaced for luxury condos they could never afford." Daniel remembered pouring himself a whiskey, irritated by her persistent idealism even after 3 years together. "My father built this company by recognizing opportunity where others saw sentimentality. Your father built this company through intimidation and corruption, and you know it." She'd stopped pacing then, staring at him with a mix of disappointment and something that looked disturbingly like pity. "I thought you were different." "Different?" Daniel had laughed bitterly. "I'm a Walker. This is what we do." "And what about what we do? What about us?" Claire's hand had drifted to her stomach in a gesture he didn't recognize at the time. "Is there an us?" Separate from Waitre Industries? The question had hung in the air as his phone rang. His father, demanding his presence at an emergency board meeting. "We'll talk about this later," he'd said, grabbing his jacket. Claire's smile had been sad. "No, Daniel, I don't think we will." When he returned 5 hours later, she was gone. No note, no forwarding address. She'd disappeared so completely it was as if Claire Morgan had never existed at all. Thunder rumbled in the distance, pulling Daniel back to the present. He closed the property file on his computer and stood, reaching for his overcoat. The rain was falling steadily now, streams of water cascading down glass and steel. "Rebecca, clear my afternoon. I have a personal matter to attend to." His assistant looked surprised. Daniel Waitre never handled personal matters during business hours, but nodded without question. 40 minutes later, his black Bentley turned onto the rain-slicked streets of Lincoln Park. The neighborhood was a mix of gentrification and stubborn old-world charm. Trendy wine bars alongside family-owned hardware stores that had survived decades of economic shifts. Thompson's home kitchen occupied the corner of a modest brick building, its faded awning providing little protection from the rain. Through steamed-up windows, Daniel could see it was moderately busy with the lunch crowd. Not packed, but not empty either. He sat in his car, watching patrons enter and exit, wondering why his father had flagged this unremarkable establishment for personal attention. Waitre Industries owned dozens of properties in this area alone. What made this place special? His phone chimed with an incoming message from the office. Daniel ignored it, reaching instead for the envelope containing the loan paperwork. Final notice, $157,000 with accumulated interest. A trivial sum for Waitre Industries, but likely insurmountable for a struggling restaurant owner. Daniel stepped out into the rain, nodding to his driver. "Wait here." The bell above the door jingled as he entered, bringing with it the aromas of home cooking. Fresh bread, simmering soup, something cinnamon sweet from the kitchen. The decor was simple but warm. Worn wooden tables, mismatched chairs, local artwork on brick walls. A place built on heart rather than business acumen. A harried-looking waitress in her 50s approached. "Table for one, sir?" "I'm looking for Linda Thompson." Something cautious flickered across the woman's face. "May I ask what this is regarding?" Daniel was about to answer when movement by the kitchen door caught his eye. A small figure emerged balancing a tray of fresh bread rolls. A girl, no more than 9 years old, carefully navigating between tables with a serious expression of concentration. Daniel's breath caught in his chest. Those eyes, the shape of that face, the careful, determined way she moved. It wasn't possible. But there she was, the spitting image of his sister Jessica at that age, down to the slight furrow between her brows as she concentrated. The girl glanced up, meeting his gaze with startling amber eyes. Waitre eyes. And for a moment, the busy restaurant faded away. Daniel felt as if he were looking at a ghost, or perhaps more accurately, at the past resurrected. Sir, are you all right?" The waitress was speaking to him, concern etched on her face. Daniel tore his gaze from the child, struggling to regain his composure. "I'm fine. I need to speak with Miss Thompson about her loan with Waitre Industries." The waitress's expression hardened slightly. "Linda's in the kitchen. She's not feeling well today, but I'll tell her you're here, Mr. Waitre," he said, watching as recognition dawned in her eyes. Daniel Waitre. As the waitress disappeared into the kitchen, Daniel's gaze returned to the child, who was now helping an elderly customer butter a roll. The girl smiled, Jessica's smile, and something long frozen in Daniel's chest cracked painfully. His phone buzzed again. Insistent, the world of Waitre Industries demanding his return. But Daniel Waitre wasn't going anywhere, not until he understood exactly what his father had known about Thompson's home kitchen, and the child with Waitre eyes who worked there. The kitchen door swung open, and a thin woman in her early 40s emerged, wiping her hands on a faded apron. Her face was drawn, with dark circles under eyes that held both wariness and resignation. This had to be Linda Thompson. "Mr. Waitre," she said, extending a hand that trembled slightly. "I'm Linda. Maggie says you're here about the loan." Daniel shook her hand, noting how fragile it felt in his. "Is there somewhere we can speak privately?" Linda nodded, gesturing toward a small office at the back. As they moved through the restaurant, Daniel felt the eyes of the staff following him. The big bad wolf come to blow their house down. Mama! The child's voice stopped Linda in her tracks. Do you need me to help? Daniel turned to find the girl standing there, those unsettling amber eyes now directed at Linda with concern. Linda's face softened. It's all right, Chloe. Just business talk. Why don't you help Margaret with the lunch rush? The girl, Chloe, glanced at Daniel with a solemnity no child her age should possess, then nodded. Okay, but don't forget your medicine. It's almost noon. I won't, sweetheart. As Chloe walked away, Daniel caught himself staring again. The resemblance to Jessica was uncanny. Not just her features, but her mannerisms. The way she tilted her head slightly when concerned. The determined set of her small shoulders. Linda's office was barely larger than a closet, cramped with filing cabinets and a desk stacked with invoices and paperwork. The window overlooked an alley, gray light filtering through rain-streaked glass. I know we're behind, Linda began before Daniel could speak, but we had unexpected expenses last quarter. Medical bills. She coughed, a wet, troubling sound that she tried to hide behind her hand. I can offer $5,000 today, and we have a catering contract next month that should... How old is Chloe? Daniel interrupted. Linda stiffened. 9. Why does that matter? 9 years Jessica had died, supposedly died in that car accident 9 years ago. The timing couldn't be coincidence. She's quite mature for her age, Daniel said carefully. She's had to be. Linda's expression was guarded. Mr. Walker, about the loan. Why does a 9-year-old child work in your restaurant? There are child labor laws. Linda's chin lifted. Chloe doesn't work here. This is her home. She helps because she wants to. And yes, because we need all hands on deck to keep this place afloat. Her eyes flashed. If you're planning to report me for letting my daughter learn the value of family business, go ahead. It'll just be one more thing to deal with. Her daughter, Daniel noted. Not my daughter, but her daughter. A subtle but important distinction. I'm not here about child labor, Daniel said, setting his briefcase on the cluttered desk. I'm here about the loan. Relief flickered across Linda's face. As I was saying, I can make a partial payment today, if we could restructure the remaining. The coughing overtook her again, more violent this time. She fumbled in her pocket for a tissue, and Daniel saw flecks of red when she pulled it away from her mouth. Are you ill, Miss Thompson? She gave a hollow laugh. Nothing gets past you, does it? The bitterness in her voice was unmistakable. Yes, Mr. Walker, I'm ill. Lung cancer. Stage 4. The doctors are cautiously optimistic, which is medical speak for prepare your affairs. The bluntness of her statement caught Daniel off guard. I'm sorry to hear that. Save your sympathy for those who believe it, she said, straightening some papers on her desk. Now, about the loan. Let's put the loan aside for a moment, Daniel said, surprising himself as much as her. Tell me about Chloe. Linda's eyes narrowed. Why are you so interested in my daughter? An excellent question, and one Daniel wasn't prepared to answer truthfully. He couldn't exactly say, because she looks exactly like my dead sister and might be related to me. I'm curious about your situation, he said instead. A single mother running a restaurant while battling serious illness, raising a child alone. It's a compelling story. We're not a charity case, Mr. Walker. Linda's voice was ice. And we're certainly not a compelling story for your entertainment. Through the door's small window, Daniel could see Chloe moving between tables, carefully refilling water glasses. The practiced ease of her movements suggested she'd been doing this for years. Does Chloe have other family? He asked, keeping his tone casual. Linda's pause was a heartbeat too long. No, it's just us. A lie. Daniel was certain of it now. No father in the picture. Mr. Walker, Linda said, steel beneath her polite tone. My personal life has nothing to do with our financial obligations to your company. Either discuss the loan terms or let me get back to my kitchen. Daniel studied her face, the tension around her eyes, the defensive set of her jaw. She was protecting something, or someone. I'll need to review your books, he said, changing tactics, since you're requesting yet another restructuring of the loan. Now, I'm in the middle of lunch service. I can wait, Daniel said, settling into the rickety chair across from her desk. Take your time. Linda stared at him, clearly thrown off balance by his persistence. Finally, she sighed. Fine, The ledgers are in that cabinet. Help yourself. I need to get back to the kitchen. She stood too quickly and swayed, grabbing the edge of the desk for support. Daniel rose instinctively to steady her, but she waved him off. I'm fine. Just stood up too fast. She moved toward the door, pausing with her hand on the knob. Mr. Walker? Yes. Whatever game you're playing, please leave my daughter out of it. After she left, Daniel didn't bother with the ledgers. Instead, he pulled out his phone and dialed a number he rarely used. Brian Cooper Investigations, a gruff voice answered. Cooper, it's Daniel Walker. A pause. Walker, it's been what? 3 years? I need your services discreetly. Your kind of discreet usually costs extra. Money's not an issue, Daniel said, watching through the window as Chloe helped an elderly customer to the door. I need background on someone named Linda Thompson. Owns a restaurant called Thompson's Home Kitchen in Lincoln Park, and her daughter Chloe, approximately 9 years old. What am I looking for? Everything, Daniel said, particularly anything connecting them to my family, and I need you to pull the police report from my sister Jessica's accident. The complete file, not the sanitized version my father circulated. Cooper was silent for a moment. Jessica, that's going back some years. May I ask why? Daniel watched as Chloe returned to Linda's side, handing her a glass of water and what appeared to be medication. The girl's face was serious. Caring, concerned beyond her years. I just saw a ghost, Daniel said quietly, and I need to know if I'm losing my mind, or if my father was hiding something even bigger than I imagined. I'll start immediately. Give me 48 hours. Daniel ended the call and slipped the phone back into his pocket. Through the office window, he could see Linda talking with Chloe, one hand gently stroking the girl's hair. There was love there, genuine and deep, but there was also fear. Daniel recognized it from years of business negotiations, the subtle tension of someone with secrets to protect. He picked up one of the framed photos on Linda's cluttered desk. Chloe, at perhaps 6 years old, sitting on a park bench feeding ducks. Her smile was captured mid-laugh, her amber eyes, Walker eyes, bright with joy. Daniel set the photo down, a strange tightness in his chest. Whatever connection existed between this child and his family. One thing was becoming clear. His world had just irrevocably changed, and there was no going back. The rain had stopped by the time Daniel left Thompson's home kitchen, but gray clouds still hung heavy over Chicago. He told his driver to take him home rather than back to the office, ignoring the stream of urgent emails accumulating on his phone. His penthouse occupied the top 2 floors of an exclusive building overlooking Lake Michigan. Sleek, modern, and impeccably designed. It had been featured in architectural magazines as the epitome of luxury bachelor living. It was also, despite its 6,500 square feet, utterly empty of anything resembling a home. Daniel loosened his tie as he stared out at the darkening lake. The face of the child, Chloe, wouldn't leave his mind. Those eyes, that determined little chin, the way she moved with Jessica's distinctive grace. His phone rang. Brian Cooper. That was fast, Daniel answered. I'm just getting started, Cooper said. But I found something you should see immediately. Can we meet? An hour later, Cooper arrived at Daniel's penthouse, rainwater still glistening on his worn leather jacket. At 56, the former detective carried himself with the watchful readiness of someone who had seen the worst of humanity and expected to see more. His salt and pepper hair was cut military short, his face weathered but intelligent. Nice place, Cooper said, taking in the minimalist decor with a shrewd glance. Little cold for my taste. Daniel led him to his home office. What did you find? Cooper placed a thick file on the glass desk. I pulled Jessica's accident report like you asked. Had to call in some favors. Daniel eyed the file warily. He'd avoided looking at the details of Jessica's death for 9 years, accepting his father's terse explanation. Car accident, instant death, closed casket necessary. Now, with Chloe's face burned into his mind, he wasn't sure he was ready for the truth. Cooper opened the file, spreading photographs and documents across the desk. First flag, there was no autopsy. What? That's standard procedure for accident victims. Exactly. Your father pulled strings, claimed religious reasons for declining an autopsy. Unusual, especially since your family isn't particularly religious. Daniel picked up one of the photographs. Jessica's silver BMW crushed against a concrete barrier. The driver's side, a mangled mess of metal and glass. His stomach twisted. "Second flag," Cooper continued, pointing to a police report. "The first responders noted unusual circumstances." "What kind of circumstances?" "Blood evidence inconsistent with the crash. Signs of a potential struggle inside the vehicle before impact. And most importantly," Cooper pulled out a lab report, highlighting a section with his finger. "Traces of an unidentified sedative in blood samples taken from the scene." Daniel looked up sharply. "You're saying she was drugged?" "I'm saying the evidence suggests this wasn't a simple accident. But here's where it gets really interesting." Cooper pulled out another document. "I ran a search on Linda Thompson's background. Preliminary stuff. Guess where she worked 9 years ago?" A cold sensation spread through Daniel's chest. "Where?" "She was a private nurse for the Brooks family." The Brooks family? The name hit Daniel like a physical blow. Harold Brooks had been his father's business partner until 15 years ago. When Alan and Daniel orchestrated a complex financial maneuver that left Brooks Enterprises bankrupt and the family's assets absorbed into Walker Industries, it had been Daniel's first major coup in the company, earning his father's rare approval and cementing his position as heir apparent. Harold Brooks had sworn vengeance, publicly vowing that the Walkers would pay with more than money. 6 months later, he died of a heart attack, leaving his son Jake to nurse the family grudge. "There's more," Cooper said, watching Daniel's reaction carefully. The accident investigation was shut down after just 3 days. The detective assigned to the case was suddenly promoted and transferred. The forensic evidence disappeared from lockup. "My father?" Daniel said quietly. Cooper nodded. "Looks that way, but here's the kicker. Jessica's body was never recovered from the wreckage." Daniel's head snapped up. "What?" "According to these notes, the impact was so severe that recovery teams couldn't safely extract the body immediately. When they returned with proper equipment the next morning, the vehicle had been removed by a private company, authorized by Alan Walker. The official report states the body was retrieved privately and prepared for burial. But there was a funeral, a closed casket, but was there a body in that casket? Mr. Walker? The question hung in the air like a thundercloud. Daniel's mind raced through fragmented memories of that terrible day. His father's insistence on private viewing only. No cemetery burial, but cremation instead. The strange weight of the urn when it was handed to him. "I don't know," he admitted finally. Cooper gathered the documents back into the file. "Based on what I've found so far, I think there's a strong possibility that Jessica Walker didn't die in that crash. Then what happened to her? That's what we need to find out." Cooper stood. "I'll keep digging. Employee records from the Brooks household. Jessica's movements before the accident, and everything I can find on Linda and Chloe Thompson." After Cooper left, Daniel remained in his office, staring at the city lights beginning to flicker on across Chicago. If Jessica hadn't died in the crash, where had she been for the past 9 years? And how did Linda Thompson and the child with Walker eyes fit into this puzzle? 3 days later, Daniel returned to Thompson's home kitchen. He told himself it was to discuss loan restructuring options. The truth was more complicated. The restaurant was quieter today. Mid-afternoon lull between lunch and dinner. Linda was at the register. Looking more tired than before, she straightened when she saw him. "Mr. Walker, back so soon." "I've been reviewing your situation," he said, keeping his voice neutral. "I'd like to discuss some options." Linda looked skeptical, but nodded toward the same back office. "Chloe, watch the front for a few minutes." The girl emerged from the kitchen, flour dusting her dark hair. She gave Daniel a curious look as they passed. "Are you going to take our restaurant?" she asked directly, her amber eyes unflinching. Daniel was caught off guard by the bluntness of her question. "I'm here to discuss options with your mother." "Linda," the girl corrected automatically, then looked embarrassed. "I mean, she's my mom, but her name is Linda." "An interesting slip," Daniel noted. Before he could respond, Linda called sharply from the office. "Chloe, that's enough. Please mind the counter." In the cramped office, Linda sat heavily in her chair, fatigue evident in every movement. "Let's cut to the chase, Mr. Walker. Are you foreclosing?" Daniel studied her face, the hollows under her cheekbones more pronounced now, the slight bluish tint to her lips. She was sicker than she was letting on. "I'm prepared to offer a 6-month deferment on your loan payments," he said, "with a restructuring plan to follow." Linda blinked. Suspicion replacing exhaustion. Why would you do that? Consider it community outreach. Walker Industries has a vested interest in supporting local businesses. Her laugh was bitter. Walker Industries bulldozes local businesses to build luxury condos. Try again. Daniel leaned forward. Ms. Thompson, I'm offering you breathing room. Take it. Their eyes locked in a silent battle of wills until another coughing fit overtook her. This one worse than before, leaving her gasping, a tissue pressed to her mouth coming away spotted with blood. You need medical attention, Daniel said quietly. What I need is for you to mind your own business, she managed, voice raspy, before Daniel could respond. The office door opened and Chloe entered, carrying a glass of water and a small pill container. It's time for your medicine, she said, her young face set with determination. The tenderness with which Linda accepted the pills from the child was revealing, a moment of vulnerability she hadn't shown to Daniel. Thank you, sweetheart. Chloe turned to Daniel, her expression startlingly adult. She needs to rest. The doctor said no stress. Chloe, please, Linda began. It's all right, Daniel said, standing. We'll continue this discussion another time. As he left the office, Daniel heard Chloe ask softly, Is he going to help us, Mama? He didn't hear Linda's response. Outside, Cooper was waiting in an unmarked car, as arranged. Well, Daniel slid into the passenger seat. What have you found? Cooper handed him a manila envelope. Employment records confirm Linda Thompson worked for the Brooks family from 2011 to 2015 as Harold Brooks' private nurse until his death. After that, she disappeared from official records for about 6 months. When she resurfaces, it's here in Chicago, with a newborn daughter. Daniel stared at the restaurant's faded sign. Chloe, born roughly 9 months after your sister's alleged accident, Cooper confirmed. Birth certificate lists no father. The pieces were starting to form a disturbing picture. Keep digging, Cooper, whatever it costs. As they pulled away from the curb, Daniel caught a glimpse of Chloe through the restaurant window, carefully wiping down tables with the serious concentration of a child carrying adult burdens. Jessica's eyes stared back at him from a face that should not exist. A week passed before Daniel returned to Thompson's home kitchen, but he'd kept tabs on the place, and its occupants, through Cooper's discreet surveillance. The news wasn't good. Linda Thompson had been hospitalized twice in the past 5 days, each stay longer than the last, during her absences. Chloe stayed with a neighbor named Margaret, a 60-something widow who helped out at the restaurant. This time, Daniel didn't go to the restaurant. Instead, he found himself walking through the antiseptic corridors of Chicago Memorial Hospital, a bouquet of simple white lilies in hand, Jessica's favorite. He paused outside room 412, suddenly unsure. What was he doing here? This woman was a stranger, connected to him only through a tangle of suspicions and coincidences. Yet the pull was undeniable. The need to understand who Chloe was, and what had really happened to his sister. He knocked softly before entering. The room was dim. Afternoon sun filtered through partially closed blinds. Linda Thompson lay propped against pillows, an IV in one arm, oxygen tubes in her nostrils. She looked smaller somehow, diminished by the hospital machinery surrounding her, but her eyes, when they found his, were sharp as ever. Mr. Walker, she said, voice barely above a whisper, come to check on your investment. Daniel placed the flowers on the bedside table. How are you feeling? Like I'm dying, which I am. No self-pity in her tone, just stark reality. Cut the courtesy visit act. Why are you really here? I wanted to see how Chloe is managing. Linda's gaze intensified. She's with Margaret. They're bringing her in later today. She studied him with renewed suspicion. Your sudden interest in my daughter's welfare is concerning, Mr. Walker. Daniel took the visitor's chair beside her bed. I think we both know why I'm interested in Chloe. A monitor beeped as Linda's heart rate increased slightly. I don't know what you're talking about. 9 years ago, my sister Jessica allegedly died in a car accident. No body was ever recovered. 9 months later, you, who worked for my family's enemies, suddenly appeared with a newborn girl who has Walker eyes. Daniel leaned forward. I'm not a man who believes in coincidences. Mrs. Thompson. Linda closed her eyes, exhaustion etched in every line of her face. For a long moment, she said nothing, and Daniel wondered if she'd drifted to sleep. Then she spoke. voice so faint he had to lean closer to hear. "She deserves better than your family." The admission hung in the air between them. Daniel felt it like a physical weight on his chest. "Chloe is Jessica's daughter," he said. Not a question. Linda's eyes opened, meeting his with defiance despite her weakened state. "Chloe is my daughter. I raised her. I loved her. I protected her. From what? From whom? From the same people who killed Jessica." Linda's fingers twisted in the thin hospital blanket. "From your father. From the Brooks family. From you." Daniel recoiled. "I would never harm a child. Wouldn't you?" Linda's laugh was bitter. "You're Alan Walker's son. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. My father is dead, and the world's better for it." Linda's voice strengthened with conviction. "Do you have any idea what your family did to Jessica? What your precious father was capable of?" Before Daniel could respond, the door opened. Chloe stood there, a construction paper card clutched in her hands, Margaret hovering behind her. The girl's eyes widened at the sight of Daniel. "Mr. Walker..." Confusion crossed her face, quickly replaced by suspicion. "What are you doing here?" Margaret placed a protective hand on Chloe's shoulder. "Perhaps we should come back later." "No," Linda interrupted, forcing a smile for her daughter. "It's okay, sweetheart. Mr. Walker was just leaving." Daniel stood, nodding to Margaret and Chloe. "I'll stop by again tomorrow, Miss Thompson. We have more to discuss." As he passed Chloe, the girl looked up at him with those unsettling, familiar eyes. "Are you helping Mama Linda get better?" The innocent question struck him like a physical blow. "I'm trying to help your situation." "Yes." Outside the hospital, Daniel sat in his car, hands gripping the steering wheel, though he made no move to start the engine. Linda's words echoed in his mind. "From the same people who killed Jessica, your father?" His phone rang. "Cooper, I found something," the investigator said without preamble. "Medical records from Brooks Manor from 9 years ago. They had a private patient registered under the initials JW for approximately 8 months. Daniel's blood ran cold. 8 months after the accident, 7 months after, ending about a month before Chloe's birth. The records are incomplete, just medication logs and basic vitals, but they indicate the patient was pregnant. The pieces were falling into place, forming a picture too horrific to contemplate. Jessica, somehow surviving the crash, taken by the Brooks family, pregnant. Then what? "I need to see those records," Daniel said, "and whatever else you can find." "There's something else," Cooper added. "I did a deep background on your father's movements during that time. He made 6 trips to Vermont in the year following Jessica's accident, always to the same remote town, Stowe. What's in Stowe? A private psychiatric facility called Pinewood Retreat. Very exclusive, very secretive, specializes in long-term care for wealthy families' embarrassing problems." Daniel frowned. "Jessica wasn't in Vermont. You just said she was held at Brooks Manor." "I'm not talking about Jessica," Cooper said carefully. "I found financial records showing your father paid Pinewood Retreat over $2 million during that period, for a patient registered as Claire Morgan." The name hit Daniel like a thunderbolt. Claire, after 15 years of searching, of private investigators finding no trace, of believing she'd simply walked out of his life. "She's alive." His voice sounded strange to his own ears. "Apparently, and still at Pinewood according to their current patient roster." Daniel ended the call, his mind reeling. Claire, institutionalized by his father. Jessica, captive of the Brooks family. Chloe, the niece he never knew existed. What kind of monstrous web had Alan Walker woven? Daniel returned to the hospital the next day as promised, this time in the morning. He found Linda alone, propped up against pillows, looking marginally better than the day before. "You came back," she observed as he entered. "I said I would." Daniel took the chair beside her bed. "We need to talk about Jessica, about what really happened." Linda studied him for a long moment, then reached for a tattered backpack beside her bed. "I knew this day would come eventually, I just hoped." She trailed off, pulling something from the bag. "Here, she would want you to have this." She handed him a worn leather journal, its pages swollen with use, and a small silver key. "Jessica's diary," Linda explained. "She kept it during her time at Brooks Manor, and the key opens a compartment in her old vanity, the one from your family home. She told me there was evidence hidden there, evidence against your father, and against Harold Brooks. Daniel stared at the journal, almost afraid to touch it. Why are you giving me this now? Linda's eyes filled with tears. Because I'm dying, Mr. Walker. The doctors gave me weeks, maybe a month. And Chloe. Her voice broke. Chloe will need someone when I'm gone, someone to protect her. From whom? From Jake Brooks. Linda's voice hardened. He never knew about Chloe. We were so careful, but lately I've seen him watching the restaurant. I think he's figured it out. Daniel's hand closed around the journal. Tell me everything, Linda, from the beginning. Linda looked toward the window, gathering her thoughts. Jessica and I were friends in college before I went to nursing school. We lost touch, but reconnected when I was hired by the Brooks family. She would visit me there sometimes. Linda paused, coughing wetly. After her accident, Harold Brooks had her brought to the manor. He wanted revenge on your family, especially on you. On me. Why? Because you were the architect of his financial ruin and because Jessica was your weakness, the only person you truly loved. Linda's eyes met his. Harold discovered Jessica was gathering evidence of your father's illegal activities. She was planning to go to the authorities. Daniel felt the floor shift beneath him. And my father found out. Linda nodded grimly. He arranged the accident, but Harold's men intercepted. They took her, kept her prisoner. She was already pregnant when they took her. Daniel's mind raced back, calculating. If Jessica had been pregnant before the accident, Chloe's father. Jessica never told me his name, only that he was someone she cared for deeply, someone your father would never have approved of. Linda's expression softened slightly. She died during childbirth, Mr. Walker. There were complications, and Harold refused to get proper medical help. His revenge. A life for a life. Daniel felt numb, the journal heavy in his hands. And you took Chloe. I smuggled her out the night she was born. Jessica made me promise to keep her safe, to hide her from both families. Linda's eyes pleaded for understanding. I loved Jessica like a sister, and I've loved Chloe as my own. Outside the window, rain began to fall again, pattering against the glass like impatient fingers. Daniel looked down at the journal, his sister's final testament. I'll need time to read this, he said finally. Time is the one thing I don't have, Mr. Walker. Linda reached for his hand, her grip surprisingly strong. Promise me you'll protect her. Promise me you won't let your father's legacy or Brooks's vengeance touch her. Daniel met her gaze, something resolute settling in his chest. I promise. Rain pounded against the windows of Daniel's penthouse as he sat in his dimly lit study, Jessica's journal open before him. He'd been reading for hours, forcing himself through page after page of his sister's elegant handwriting, each entry more disturbing than the last. April 15th. They're keeping me in the East Wing. No windows. I think it's been 3 weeks since the crash, but I can't be sure. My leg is healing slowly. Harold visits daily, always smiling, always telling me how my brother and father will suffer for what they did to his family. May 8. Confirmed what I suspected. The baby is definitely showing now. Harold was ecstatic when he found out. Says it's poetic justice that a new Walker will be born in captivity. If only he knew this child isn't just a Walker. June 24th. Linda smuggled in a phone today. I tried calling Daniel, but it went straight to his private voicemail. I wonder if father is intercepting his calls. Left a message anyway. Told him everything. About father's dealings with the cartels, the laundered money, the evidence I've hidden. Daniel paused, a cold weight settling in his stomach. He'd never received any voicemail from Jessica after her supposed death. How many attempts had she made to reach him while he carried on with his life, believing she was gone? September 30th. The baby kicks constantly now. A fighter. Linda says it's a girl. I've decided to name her Chloe. Blooming, in Greek. Something beautiful growing from this darkness. Linda has agreed to take her. If anything happens to me, she's the only one I trust. October. The house is in chaos. Jake has taken over his father's project. Me, he's different from Harold. Colder, more calculating. Harold wanted revenge. Jake seems to enjoy cruelty for its own sake. Daniel closed the journal, unable to read more tonight. The final entries grew increasingly desperate as Jessica's health deteriorated during the pregnancy. The last page, written in a shaky hand, was a letter to Chloe, a mother's goodbye to the daughter she would never know. His phone rang, shattering the silence. "Cooper. Walker, you need to get to Chicago Memorial immediately," the investigator said without preamble. Linda Thompson took a turn for the worse. "They don't think she'll make it through the night." Daniel was already reaching for his coat. "What about Chloe?" "With the neighbor, Margaret. But there's something else. I spotted Jake Brooks in the hospital parking lot 20 minutes ago." "Call hospital security," Daniel ordered, rushing toward the elevator. "I'm on my way." The storm had intensified, sheets of rain reducing visibility to mere feet as Daniel's car sped through Chicago's streets. His mind raced ahead, calculating scenarios, formulating contingencies. If Jake Brooks had indeed discovered Chloe's existence, the threat was immediate and deadly. Chicago Memorial's emergency entrance was awash in swirling red and blue lights when Daniel arrived. A security guard directed him to the 4th floor, where he found Cooper waiting outside Linda's room. "What happened?" Daniel demanded. "She went into respiratory distress about an hour ago. They've stabilized her for now, but the doctor says her lungs are failing." Cooper lowered his voice. "Brooks is gone. Security did a sweep. Couldn't find him. He's here for information, not action," Daniel said, thinking like the predator Jake Brooks had become. "He won't move against Linda in a hospital full of witnesses." Cooper nodded toward the room. "She's asking for you." Inside, Linda lay connected to even more machines than before, an oxygen mask obscuring half her face. Her eyes, when they found Daniel, were clear despite the morphine drip beside her bed. She gestured weakly for him to come closer, pulling the mask aside to whisper, "Jake knows. About Chloe." A small nod. "Came here, threatened me, wanted confirmation." Her breathing was labored, each word a struggle. "He'll come for her. Chloe is safe with Margaret," Daniel assured her, though uncertainty gnawed at him. How well had Linda vetted her neighbor? Linda clutched his sleeve with surprising strength. "No, not safe, Margaret." She dissolved into a coughing fit, alarms beeping as her oxygen levels dropped. A nurse rushed in, replacing the mask and adjusting settings on the machines. "She needs rest," she told Daniel firmly. "You should come back tomorrow." But the look in Linda's eyes told Daniel there might not be a tomorrow. "I need to check on Chloe," he told Cooper as they left the room. "If Brooks knows about her, Margaret's apartment isn't safe." They had just reached the hospital lobby when Daniel's phone rang. An unknown number. "Walker?" he answered. "Daniel Walker." A woman's voice, elderly, trembling. "This is Margaret Winters. Linda's friend. I don't know if I should be calling you, but..." Her voice broke. "What's happened?" Cold dread spread through Daniel's chest. "There's a fire," Margaret cried. "Linda's restaurant is burning and Chloe..." Oh God, Chloe went back inside for her mother's photo album. "She's trapped." Daniel was running before she finished speaking. Cooper close behind. The restaurant was only 6 blocks from the hospital. They could see the smoke rising against the night sky long before they reached Lincoln Park. As they turned onto the street, the full horror became clear. Thompson's home kitchen was engulfed in flames, windows shattered from the heat. Black smoke billowing into the rainy night. Fire trucks lined the street, firefighters battling the blaze as a small crowd of onlookers huddled under umbrellas. Daniel spotted Margaret, her face streaked with soot and tears, talking frantically to a police officer. "Told her to stay with me, but she slipped away when I was speaking to the firefighters. Said her mother's album was in the office safe, that she knew the combination." Daniel grabbed the nearest firefighter. "There's a child inside, 9 years old, dark hair." "We know, sir. 2 men are searching the back office area now, but the roof is becoming unstable." A cracking sound split the air as part of the restaurant's facade collapsed inward, sending a shower of sparks into the night. Margaret screamed. Daniel stared at the inferno, something primal and unfamiliar clawing at his chest. Without conscious thought, he sprinted toward the service entrance at the side of the building, ignoring Cooper's shout behind him. The heat hit him like a physical wall as he shouldered through the door. Instantly soaking the handkerchief he held over his mouth, smoke obscured everything, turning the familiar layout into a disorienting maze. He dropped to his knees, crawling beneath the worst of the smoke. "Chloe," he shouted, voice barely audible over the roar of the flames. Chloe. Something crashed behind him, the kitchen shelving collapsing. The path back was cut off now. Daniel pushed forward, using memory and instinct to navigate toward the small office. The smoke thinned slightly as he approached. The office had fewer combustibles, and its concrete walls were holding the flames at bay. Chloe. A small cough answered him. There, huddled beneath the desk, clutching a leather-bound album to her chest, was Chloe. Her face was streaked with soot, eyes wide with terror. "Uncle Daniel," she whimpered. The word struck him like a physical blow. How did she know? No time to question it. Daniel reached for her. "Come on, we need to go." She scrambled into his arms, still clutching the album. "The pictures. Mama Linda's pictures of my real mom. I've got you," Daniel promised, holding her close as he looked frantically for an exit route. The way he'd come was blocked by flames, the main entrance unreachable. The window. It was small, but might be large enough. Daniel kicked at the glass, wrapping his suit jacket around his arm to protect from shards. Cool, rain-scented air rushed in, a blessed relief from the suffocating heat. "Hold tight to me," he told Chloe, boosting her through the window first before squeezing his larger frame through the opening. Glass cutting into his shoulders, they tumbled onto wet pavement in the alley behind the restaurant, gasping clean air into burning lungs. Daniel gathered Chloe into his arms and ran, putting distance between them and the collapsing building. Paramedics swarmed them as they emerged onto the street, separating them despite Chloe's panicked protests, as oxygen masks were placed over their faces and shock blankets wrapped around their shoulders. Daniel kept his eyes fixed on the child, his niece, refusing to look away even as the medics treated the cuts on his hands and arms. Sir, can you hear me?" A paramedic was asking him questions. Shining a light in his eyes, Daniel brushed the man aside, staggering to where Chloe sat in the back of an ambulance. Her small face was pale beneath the soot, eyes huge with shock and fear. "The album," she whispered as he approached. "I saved it." Daniel sat beside her, his body aching, lungs raw. "You could have died, Chloe. I had to save it." She opened the singed leather cover, revealing photographs of a younger, smiling Linda and Jessica, her arm around Linda's shoulders, both women laughing at some forgotten joke. "It's all I have of them." In that moment, looking at his sister's face preserved in faded photographs and at the child who shared her eyes, Daniel made a decision that would change everything. "You have me now," he said quietly. "I'm your uncle, Chloe. Your mother was my sister." Her amber eyes, Jessica's eyes, searched his face. "I know," she whispered. "Mama Jessica tells me in my dreams." "What do you mean?" "Mama Jessica talks to you in your dreams." Daniel's question hung in the air between them. But before Chloe could answer, medical personnel swarmed around them. Both were whisked away to Chicago Memorial, the same hospital where Linda Thompson lay fighting for her life, unaware that her home and business now existed only as smoldering ruins, x-rays, oxygen treatments, and a barrage of questions from doctors. Nurses and eventually police filled the next several hours. Daniel insisted on a private room for Chloe, adjacent to his own, using the Walker name to override hospital protocols about guardianship. She wasn't officially his responsibility, not yet, but he'd be damned if he'd let her out of his sight now. It was past midnight when a soft knock at his door revealed Cooper, looking haggard but alert. "How is she?" Daniel asked immediately. "Sleeping." The doctor gave her a mild sedative. Cooper lowered his voice. "I've stationed 2 private security guards outside her room. No one gets in without clearance." Daniel nodded gratefully. "And Linda?" "Critical but stable. The doctors say it's a matter of days now." Cooper ran a hand over his face. "I spoke with the fire marshal. Preliminary finding is arson. Accelerant traces at multiple ignition points." "Brooks," Daniel said darkly. "Most likely, but there's no evidence connecting him directly to the scene." Cooper hesitated. "There's something else, Margaret Winters. The neighbor. She's disappeared." Daniel's head snapped up. "What?" "Left the scene before police could take a formal statement. Her apartment is empty. Looks like she packed in a hurry. Linda was trying to warn me about her." Daniel realized with a chill. Check Margaret's background again, thoroughly. After Cooper left, Daniel lay in the darkness, his mind cycling through the implications of everything he'd learned. Jessica's captivity, Linda's protection of Chloe, Jake Brooks's discovery and apparent vengeance, and now Margaret's suspicious disappearance. But it was Chloe's calm statement that troubled him most. Mama Jessica tells me in my dreams. 3 days later, Daniel stood at Linda Thompson's bedside, Chloe's small hand clutched in his. Linda had regained consciousness but could no longer speak around the breathing tube. Her eyes, however, were eloquent, moving from Daniel to Chloe with a mixture of fear and resignation. "The restaurant is gone," Daniel said gently, "but we're both okay. Chloe saved your photo album." Linda's eyes filled with tears. She lifted a trembling hand toward Chloe, who took it immediately. "I'm going to stay with Uncle Daniel for a while," the girl said with a composure that belied her 9 years. "Just until you get better." Linda's gaze shifted to Daniel, questioning, demanding. "I've spoken with social services," he explained. "Given the circumstances, the fire, your condition, they've granted me temporary guardianship." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Chloe will be safe with me, Linda. I swear it." A tear slipped down Linda's hollow cheek. She squeezed Chloe's hand once, then released it to make a writing motion. Daniel handed her a small notepad and pen from the bedside table. Her writing was shaky but legible. "Be careful. Margaret works for Brooks. Safe in desk. Key." Daniel nodded, understanding. "The key you gave me with Jessica's journal." Linda's eyes closed briefly in confirmation, before she wrote again. "Tell her everything." When ready, the monitor beside her bed began to beat more rapidly as her oxygen levels dipped. A nurse entered, giving Daniel a pointed look. "We should go," he told Chloe gently. "Linda needs to rest." The girl nodded solemnly, leaning over to kiss Linda's forehead. "I'll come back tomorrow," she promised. "And I'll bring your blue cardigan from home." Her voice caught. "Oh, home is gone." Linda's eyes opened. Fierce with emotion, she wrote one last note, showing it to Chloe. "Home is where love is, always with you." Walker Manor stood on 3 acres of manicured grounds in Chicago's most exclusive suburb, a sprawling Georgian mansion that had been in the family for 4 generations. Daniel had never felt comfortable there, not as a child under his father's critical eye, nor as an adult overseeing the estate's maintenance while living in his downtown penthouse. Now, as the car rolled through the wrought iron gates with Chloe silent beside him, the mansion loomed like a mausoleum, imposing, cold, filled with ghosts. "This was your mother's home," Daniel said as they approached the sweeping circular drive. "She grew up here, as did I." Chloe pressed her face to the window, taking in the immaculate gardens and stone fountains. "It's like a castle," she murmured. "It never felt much like a home," Daniel admitted. Surprising himself with the candor, the girl turned to study him with those unsettlingly perceptive eyes. "Was your dad mean to you too?" The question caught Daniel off guard. "What makes you ask that?" Chloe shrugged, looking back at the mansion. "Mama Jessica says he was a man with ice where his heart should be." There it was again, that casual reference to communications with her dead mother. Daniel chose his next words carefully. "Chloe, when you say Mama Jessica talks to you, what exactly do you mean?" The car came to a stop before she could answer. Mrs. Abernathy, the housekeeper who had served the Walker family for 30 years, stood waiting at the grand entrance. Her normally impassive face registered shock at the sight of Chloe emerging from the car. "Mr. Walker," she stammered, "I wasn't aware you were bringing company. Mrs. Abernathy, this is Chloe Thompson. She'll be staying with us indefinitely." Daniel placed a protective hand on the girl's shoulder. "Please prepare the blue bedroom in the east wing." The housekeeper's eyes widened further. "Miss Jessica's old room. Is there a problem?" "No, sir, of course not." But her gaze lingered on Chloe's face, clearly noting the resemblance that had so shocked Daniel himself days earlier. Inside, the mansion was just as Daniel remembered, meticulously maintained, aggressively opulent, and utterly soulless. Crystal chandeliers illuminated marble floors and priceless artwork. Every surface gleamed with polish, every object precisely placed. Chloe stood in the grand foyer, looking suddenly small and fragile amid such splendor. She clutched her backpack, containing the few possessions salvaged from the fire, like a life preserver. "Would you like a tour?" Daniel offered, trying to ease the transition. Chloe shook her head. "Can I see my mom's room, please?" Daniel led her up the grand staircase to the east wing, where Jessica's bedroom remained untouched since her supposed death, His father had forbidden anyone to pack away her belongings, insisting it be maintained as a shrine, a sentiment that had seemed oddly sentimental for Alan Walker. Now, Daniel wondered if it had been guilt rather than grief that motivated the preservation. He hesitated outside the door. "It might be emotional for you." Chloe looked up at him with Jessica's eyes. "I'm not afraid of sad things, Uncle Daniel." The room beyond was frozen in time, a beautiful young woman's space, filled with books, photographs, and mementos, pale blue walls, white furniture, silver-framed photographs of Jessica at various ages. A vanity table stood in one corner, its surface arranged with perfume bottles and jewelry boxes. Chloe walked straight to the vanity, running her small fingers over the polished wood. "This is where the safe is," she said with certainty. Daniel stared at her. "How could you possibly know that?" "I told you, Mama Jessica tells me things." She looked at him directly, unblinking. "Sometimes when I'm asleep. Sometimes when I'm drawing, she says I have the gift stronger than she did. The gift. Seeing beyond." Chloe said it matter-of-factly, as if discussing the weather. "Linda doesn't believe in it, but she lets me talk about it anyway." She turned back to the vanity. "The key goes here." She pointed to what appeared to be a decorative keyhole on the vanity's side panel, something Daniel had never noticed despite visiting this room countless times after Jessica's disappearance. With slightly shaking hands, he removed the small silver key from his pocket and inserted it into the opening. It turned with a soft click, and a hidden drawer slid out from beneath the vanity's surface. Inside lay a USB drive, several folded documents, and a small velvet pouch on top was an envelope addressed simply, "Daniel, if you're reading this, I'm gone. The truth is worse than you imagine." Chloe backed away, giving him privacy as he opened the letter with trembling fingers. Jessica's handwriting flowed across the page, the same elegant script he'd been reading in her journal. "Daniel, if you've found this, then either I've finally managed to reach you, or something has happened to me. Either way, the truth can no longer stay buried. Father is involved in something terrible. Money laundering for cartels is just the surface. There's more. Weapons, human trafficking, political blackmail. I've gathered evidence on the enclosed drive, along with paper trails that can't be erased. He knows I know. I've seen him watching me, intercepting my calls, having me followed. If anything happens to me, it won't be an accident. There's one more thing you need to know. I'm pregnant. About 4 months along. The father is someone Father would never approve of, which is why I've kept it secret. If something happens to me, please find my child. Protect them from our family legacy. You were always better than Father tried to make you, Daniel. It's not too late to break the cycle. With love and hope." Jessica Daniel looked up to find Chloe watching him, her expression far too knowing for a child her age. "She was trying to be good," Chloe said quietly. "Like you're trying now." Daniel carefully refolded the letter, buying time to compose himself. "Chloe, about these dreams. Can you tell me more about them?" The girl sat on the edge of Jessica's bed, suddenly looking tired. "They're not just dreams. Sometimes I see her when I'm awake too. Not clearly, like you. More like a feeling that becomes a shape." She twisted her fingers together. "Linda took me to doctors. They said I have an overactive imagination because of trauma. And what do you think? I think Mama Jessica needs me to finish what she started." Chloe's gaze was steady, unflinching. "She says the truth will set us all free." Daniel sat alone in his father's study late that night, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him on the massive mahogany desk. The contents of Jessica's hidden compartment lay spread out, financial records, photographs, and a USB drive that had revealed horrors beyond what he'd imagined. The Walker family fortune, built over generations, was stained with blood. Alan Walker hadn't just bent rules, he'd broken them systematically, creating an empire of corruption that spanned continents. Jessica had documented it all, offshore accounts funneling cartel money through Walker Industries' development projects, shell companies trafficking in weapons and people, blackmail of judges, politicians, and business competitors, and Daniel, focused on proving himself worthy of the Walker name, had been blind to it all, or perhaps, more damningly, had chosen not to see. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. He quickly gathered the documents, sliding them into a drawer before calling. "Come in." Mrs. Abernathy appeared, her normally unflappable demeanor visibly strained. "I apologize for the late hour, Mr. Walker, but the child is distressed." Daniel was on his feet immediately. "What's wrong?" "Nightmares, I believe she's calling for her mother." The housekeeper hesitated. "Both mothers, actually." Daniel found Chloe sitting bolt upright in Jessica's bed, her small face pale in the moonlight streaming through the windows. Tear tracks glistened on her cheeks, but her expression was one of determination rather than fear. "I saw them," she said as Daniel entered. "The bad men. They're coming." Daniel sat on the edge of the bed. "It was just a nightmare, Chloe." She shook her head emphatically. "Not a nightmare. A warning. Mama Jessica says Jake Brooks knows I'm here now. He's very angry." A chill ran down Daniel's spine. He'd doubled security since bringing Chloe to the estate. But Jake Brooks was a man with resources, and a lifetime of hatred to fuel him. "Chloe, I need you to tell me something, and it's very important that you're honest." Daniel chose his words carefully. "These communications with your mother, when did they start?" "I've always had them," she answered simply. "Even before I knew who she was. Linda said I used to talk about the pretty lady when I was little." Chloe picked at a loose thread on the blanket. "I thought everyone could see things like that. Linda told me not to tell people because they wouldn't understand." "And what does Jessica tell you about Jake Brooks?" "That he's the monster in our story. That he hurt her." Chloe's voice dropped to a whisper. "That he thinks hurting me will hurt you the most." The words sent ice through Daniel's veins. "Has she ever told you about your father?" Chloe's head snapped up, her eyes suddenly wary. "Linda says I'm not supposed to ask about him, but Jessica must have mentioned. She says it's complicated." Chloe pulled her knees to her chest. "That he doesn't know about me, but that he's a good person who was trying to help her." Her gaze was penetrating. "Why are you asking about him now?" Before Daniel could formulate a response, his phone rang. "Cooper, I need to take this," he told Chloe. "Try to get some sleep. You're safe here, I promise." In the hallway, Daniel answered, "What is it?" "I've got something on Margaret Winters," Cooper said without preamble. "She's not who she claimed to be. Her real name is Margaret Brooks." Daniel nearly dropped the phone. "Brooks. Jake's aunt. Harold's sister. She's been living next door to Linda and Chloe for the past 8 years, keeping tabs on them. According to financials I've uncovered, she's been on Jake's payroll the entire time." 8 years, Daniel repeated numbly. "They've been watching Chloe her whole life." "There's more," Cooper continued. "I've been digging into those medical records from Brooks Manor during Jessica's captivity. The attending physician was a Dr. James Reynolds, retired now. I tracked him down at his home in Michigan. And he confirmed Jessica died during childbirth from complications. But here's the twist. He also told me she was already pregnant when she arrived at Brooks Manor." Daniel frowned. "We knew that from Linda." "Yes. But what we didn't know is that Harold Brooks was furious about it. He had expected to use Jessica as leverage against your father, maybe even ransom her back eventually. The pregnancy complicated things." "Who was the father?" Daniel asked, though a suspicion was forming in his mind. Reynolds didn't know a name. He said Jessica refused to tell anyone, but that Harold was convinced the father was someone Jessica had been seeing secretly, someone your father would have disapproved of strongly. Daniel ended the call, his mind racing. The timing, the secrecy. If Jessica had been 4 months pregnant when she wrote that letter, conception would have been around the time she started gathering evidence against their father. He returned to his study, reopening the drawer where he'd stashed Jessica's documents. Among them was a small leather address book. He flipped through it, searching for any name that might be significant. On the last page, in Jessica's handwriting, Michael Reeves, 555-0177. The name meant nothing to Daniel, but a notation beside it caught his eye. BC, Legal Aid, Brooks Construction. Michael Reeves had worked for the Brooks family. Daniel checked the time. Past midnight, but this couldn't wait. He dialed the number, not expecting an answer after 9 years. To his surprise, a man picked up on the 3rd ring. "Hello?" The voice was cautious, sleep-roughened. "Michael Reeves." A pause. "Who's asking?" "My name is Daniel Walker. I believe you knew my sister Jessica." The silence stretched so long Daniel thought the man had hung up. Finally, a whispered response. "How did you get this number?" "From Jessica's personal effects, Mr. Reeves. I need to speak with you about my sister and about her child. Another long pause. Meet me tomorrow, Grant Park, by Buckingham Fountain, noon. The line went dead. Daniel sat back, mind whirling. Could this Michael Reeves be Chloe's father? A Brooks employee secretly involved with Jessica Walker? It would explain the need for secrecy, Jessica's cryptic references in her journal, and Harold Brooks's rage upon discovering the pregnancy. Morning came with news that Linda Thompson's condition had worsened overnight. Daniel arranged for Chloe to visit her at the hospital, surrounded by security. The girl showed remarkable composure as she sat beside Linda's bed, holding her hand and talking softly about settling into the Walker mansion. "Uncle Daniel is teaching me chess," she told the unconscious woman. "And Mrs. Abernathy made pancakes shaped like animals. I'm drawing lots of pictures to show you when you wake up." Daniel watched from the doorway, his heart constricting at the child's determined optimism in the face of inevitable loss. Cooper stood beside him, keeping a watchful eye on hospital staff and visitors. "Any sign of Brooks?" Daniel asked quietly. "Nothing," Cooper replied. "But my sources say he's still in Chicago, and he's making inquiries about Chloe's whereabouts. Increased security at the mansion. No one gets in without direct clearance from me. No deliveries, no service personnel, no exceptions," as they prepared to leave the hospital. Chloe lingered by Linda's bedside for a final moment alone. Daniel watched through the glass as the child leaned close to Linda's ear, speaking words he couldn't hear. For just an instant, he thought he saw something, a shimmer in the air beside Chloe, a suggestion of a feminine figure with a hand on the girl's shoulder. Daniel blinked, and it was gone. "Ready?" he asked as Chloe emerged from the room. She nodded solemnly. Linda understands now. She's not afraid anymore. On the drive to Grant Park, Daniel tried to prepare himself for the meeting with Michael Reeves. If this man was indeed Chloe's father, what would that mean for her future? For the promises he'd made to Linda, to Jessica? "You're worried about meeting him," Chloe said suddenly from the back seat. Daniel turned, startled. Meeting whom? The man who loved Mama Jessica, the one who tried to help her. Chloe's eyes, so like Jessica's, were calm, knowing. It's okay. Mama says he's a good person. Even if he worked for bad people. A chill ran down Daniel's spine. "Chloe, how could you possibly know about this meeting? I made the call after you were asleep." The girl shrugged. "Mama Jessica told me. She says it's time for all the secrets to come out. Hers, yours, and his." "Mine?" Daniel asked, suddenly wary. "What secrets of mine does she mention?" Chloe met his gaze directly. "That you knew what your father was doing all along. That you helped him hurt people. That you're afraid you're just like him." Her expression softened. "But she also says you can choose to be different. That's why she's giving you a chance to make things right." Buckingham Fountain sprayed water into the crisp autumn air. Tourists and locals gathering to admire one of Chicago's landmarks. Despite the chill, Daniel stood a short distance away, Cooper beside him, while Chloe remained in the car under the watchful eye of 2 security guards. "That's him," Cooper said quietly, nodding toward a man approaching from the south side of the park. Michael Reeves looked nothing like Daniel had expected. In his early 40s, with salt and pepper hair and wire-rimmed glasses, he had the appearance of a professor, rather than a construction company employee. He walked with a slight limp, scanning the crowd nervously. "Stay with Chloe," Daniel instructed Cooper. "Daniel, I'll handle this alone." Reeves spotted Daniel before he reached him, freezing momentarily before continuing forward with visible reluctance. When they stood face to face, Daniel was struck by the depth of sorrow in the man's eyes. "You look like her," Reeves said quietly, "around the eyes." "Let's walk," Daniel suggested. Gesturing away from the crowds, they fell into step silently, following a path that curved around the fountain's basin. Finally, Reeves spoke. "I always wondered if you'd find me eventually. Jessica said you were relentless once you set your mind to something. Yet you seem surprised by my call. Surprised by the timing, not the fact." Reeves glanced sideways at Daniel. "After all these years, why now?" "Because I've met my niece," Daniel replied, watching Reeves carefully. "Jessica's daughter." The man stopped abruptly, color draining from his face. "She survived. The baby survived." The genuine shock in his voice confirmed what Daniel had begun to suspect. Yes. Her name is Chloe. She's 9 years old, living with me since her adoptive mother became ill. Reeves closed his eyes briefly, something like relief washing over his features. I thought, when Jessica died, Harold told me the baby died too. His voice cracked. I've lived with that guilt for 9 years. Then you are her father. It wasn't a question. But Reeves nodded anyway. Jessica and I were together for nearly a year before everything happened. He gestured to a nearby bench. I need to sit down. Once seated, Reeves ran a trembling hand over his face. I was legal counsel for Brooks Construction when Harold hired me. That's how I met Jessica. She was investigating your father's business dealings. And some involved joint ventures with Brooks. She approached me for information, and it became more than professional, Daniel surmised. A sad smile touched Reeves's lips. Jessica had a way of seeing the best in people, of making you want to be the person she believed you were. When she showed me evidence of what both our employers were involved in, money laundering, bribery, worse, I couldn't look away any longer. So you helped her gather evidence against my father and against Brooks. Reeves nodded. We were careful, but Harold became suspicious. He had me followed, discovered our relationship. When Jessica found out she was pregnant, we knew we had to disappear. New identities, new city, clean start. His expression darkened. We were supposed to meet the night of her accident. She never showed. Daniel absorbed this, pieces falling into place. You thought she changed her mind. For years, I thought she'd chosen her family over me. Then I heard about the accident. Reeves looked away, jaw tight. It wasn't until I was clearing out Harold's office after his death that I found records, surveillance photos of Jessica, orders for the hit on her car. But instead of killing her, Brooks had her taken. Harold's revenge against your father, taking his daughter, keeping her alive just long enough to bear a child, then letting her die. Reeves's hands clenched into fists. I confronted him about it during his final days. He laughed, said it was the perfect punishment. A Walker child raised as a Brooks, trained to eventually destroy what remained of your family. But Linda Thompson intervened, Daniel said. She took the baby, Chloe, and disappeared. Linda, Reeves's expression softened with recognition. Jessica's friend from college. She was Harold's nurse toward the end. Daniel nodded. She's been raising Chloe as her own. She's dying now. Lung cancer. Reeves absorbed this, visibly struggling with emotions. I'd like to see her. Chloe, if that's possible. It's complicated, Daniel said carefully. Chloe has abilities that are difficult to explain. She says she communicates with Jessica, knows things she couldn't possibly know. Rather than the skepticism Daniel expected, Reeves's face showed recognition. The Walker gift, he murmured. Jessica had it too. She would know things. See things sometimes, she called it. Seeing beyond. You believe in this? I've seen enough in this world to know there are things we can't explain, Reeves said simply. Jessica predicted her own death, said she had a vision of herself trapped, dying, calling for help that wouldn't come. He met Daniel's gaze squarely. She also said her child would have the gift stronger than anyone in generations. Daniel thought of Chloe's matter-of-fact statements, her certainty about things she couldn't know. There's something else you should know. Jake Brooks has discovered Chloe's existence. He burned down Linda's restaurant, nearly killing Chloe in the process. I believe he's planning something more. Reeves's expression hardened. Jake was always his father's true heir. Same cruel streak, same obsession with revenge against your family. I need to know if there's anything else. Any other threats I should be aware of to keep Chloe safe. Reeves hesitated, then said, There's one more thing about Claire Morgan. The name hit Daniel like a physical blow. What about Claire? Jessica found her, right before the accident. That's what precipitated everything. Reeves leaned forward. Your father didn't just drive Claire away, Walker. He had her committed to a private institution in Vermont, Pinewood Retreat, under a false identity, with falsified psychiatric evaluations. Though Cooper had discovered this, hearing it confirmed made it suddenly, terribly real. Why would he do that? Because she was pregnant with your child when she disappeared. Your father couldn't risk another Walker heir being raised outside his control, especially one who might eventually challenge your position. Daniel felt as if the ground had dropped from beneath him. Claire was pregnant. I have a child. A son, Reeves confirmed. Jessica found records in your father's private files. That's when she realized the full extent of what he was capable of. She was planning to tell you everything that night. About Claire, about her own pregnancy, about the evidence she'd gathered. She never got the chance. Daniel stared unseeingly at the fountain, mind reeling. Claire alive. A son he'd never known existed. 15 years lost. I can help you find them, Reeves offered quietly. I still have contacts in legal circles, access to records Jessica and I compiled. Why would you help me? Daniel asked, suddenly suspicious. Because despite everything, Jessica loved you. She believed you could be better than your father. And because, he hesitated, because Chloe deserves to know her family. All of her family. Daniel made a decision. Come with me. There's someone you should meet. The walk back to the car seemed to take an eternity. When they reached it, Daniel opened the door. Chloe looked up from her book, her eyes immediately locking on Reeves. You're here, she said simply. Reeves stumbled slightly, one hand reaching out to steady himself against the car. My God, he whispered. She looks just like Jessica. Chloe tilted her head, studying him with that unnervingly adult gaze. Mama Jessica says you have her favorite picture in your wallet, the one from the lake house. Color drained from Reeves's face. How could you possibly? Show him, Chloe instructed gently. With shaking hands, Reeves removed his wallet, extracting a worn photograph from behind his driver's license. It showed a laughing Jessica standing on a dock, sunlight in her hair, lake waters sparkling behind her. She says it was the happiest day of her life, Chloe continued, until she found out about me. The girl smiled, Jessica's smile on a smaller face. She's glad you came back. Reeves knelt beside the car, eye level with Chloe now. I never knew, he said, voice choked. I would have searched for you if I'd known. I know, Chloe said simply. Then, to Daniel's surprise, she reached out and took Reeves' hand. We need to hurry now. The lady with the sad eyes has waited long enough. Daniel and Reeves exchanged glances. Claire, Daniel said, the name still strange on his tongue after 15 years. We need to get to Vermont. The Walker Industries private jet cut through cloud cover as it descended toward Burlington International Airport. Daniel sat alone at the front, reviewing the dossier Cooper had compiled on Pinewood Retreat. Behind him, Chloe and Michael Reeves spoke in hushed tones, their initial awkwardness gradually giving way to a tentative connection. Pinewood Retreat presented itself to the world as an exclusive therapeutic community for the wealthy. Its pristine website showcased serene gardens, comfortable accommodations, and smiling staff. But Cooper had uncovered troubling details beneath the polished veneer. Unusual security measures, patients who never receive visitors, and several lawsuits quietly settled out of court. We land in 20 minutes, sir, the pilot announced over the intercom. Daniel closed the file. His mind made up. Claire had spent 15 years imprisoned under a false identity. Their son, the child he never knew existed, had grown up without either parent. No more delays, no more plans. They would walk out of Pinewood today, whatever it took. Chloe appeared at his side, slipping into the seat across from him. You're worried, she observed. Yes, Daniel admitted, seeing no point in hiding the truth from this perceptive child. What if she doesn't remember you? Chloe asked, cutting straight to the heart of his fear. What if she hates you for not finding her sooner? Daniel looked at the girl, his niece, Jessica's daughter, and felt a surge of affection for her directness. Those are possibilities I'll have to face. She doesn't hate you, Chloe said with quiet certainty. Mama Jessica says Claire still loves you, even after everything. That's why my cousin needs us so badly. Your cousin. Your son. He has the gift too, but it scares him because he doesn't understand it. The doctors give him medicine to make the vision stop. Chloe's expression grew troubled. He thinks he's crazy. Before Daniel could respond, Michael joined them, his face betraying his continued amazement at Chloe's inexplicable knowledge. I've been thinking about our approach, he said, directing his comments to Daniel. The legal route would take too long. Even with Jessica's evidence, we'd need court orders, hearings. I'm not waiting another day, Daniel said firmly. Claire walks out of that place today. Reeves nodded, unsurprised. Then we need a distraction, something to occupy security while we locate Claire and your son. I can find them, Chloe volunteered. I can see them already. 3rd floor, East Wing, room 307 for the lady with the sad eyes, room 312 for my cousin. Daniel and Reeves exchanged glances. Even knowing about Chloe's abilities, it was unsettling to hear her calmly announcing information she couldn't possibly possess. It's worth a try, Reeves said finally. God knows we don't have much else to go on. As the plane taxied to a stop, Daniel's phone rang. Cooper. We have a problem, the investigator said without preamble. Jake Brooks boarded a private flight to Burlington 2 hours ago. He landed 30 minutes ahead of you. Daniel's blood ran cold. He's tracking us somehow. I've been checking for security breaches. Nothing obvious. But I'm still looking. Cooper hesitated. There's more. Linda Thompson passed away an hour ago. Hospital tried to reach you. The news hit Daniel with unexpected force. He glanced at Chloe, grateful she hadn't overheard. She had already lost so much. Keep that information to yourself for now, he instructed Cooper. We'll deal with it after we secure Claire and the boy. Be careful, Cooper warned. If Brooks is there, he's not coming to talk. Pinewood Retreat sprawled across 50 acres of wooded Vermont countryside. Its main building a converted 19th century mansion with several modern additions extending from the original structure. A discreet sign marked the entrance to a winding drive that cut through manicured grounds. Looks more like a luxury resort than a psychiatric facility, Reeves observed as their rented SUV approached the guarded gate. Daniel adjusted his tie. Remember the plan. I'm here as a potential donor. Walker Industries considering a charitable contribution. You're my legal counsel. Chloe is your daughter accompanying us because of a canceled school day. The security guard examined their IDs. Authentic but hastily procured through Walker Industries connections. After a brief call to the main office, he waved them through. They're watching us, Chloe whispered as they parked. Not just the guards, someone else. Brooks, Daniel asked. Chloe shook her head. I don't know, just watching. The facility's director, Dr. Elaine Winters, greeted them in a marble-floored lobby decorated more like a high-end hotel than a medical facility. In her 50s, with a too-tight smile and calculating eyes, she fawned over Daniel's philanthropic interest. Walker Industries' support would be transformative for our therapeutic programs, she gushed, leading them on a carefully choreographed tour of common areas and therapy spaces. Nowhere did they see anything resembling traditional psychiatric confinement. Yet Daniel noticed the subtle security measures. Staff with concealed earpieces, cameras disguised as light fixtures, doors requiring keycard access. We'd be interested in seeing your residential wings, Daniel said smoothly. To understand the full patient experience, Dr. Winter's smile tightened slightly. Our residential areas are kept private for patient confidentiality, but I can show you an unoccupied suite, as she led them toward the west wing, away from where Chloe had indicated Claire and his son were housed. Daniel caught the girl's eye. She gave a tiny shake of her head. Actually, Daniel improvised, I'm particularly interested in your long-term care facilities. I understand you have an East Wing specializing in extended therapeutic engagement. Dr. Winter's composure slipped momentarily. The East Wing is under renovation currently, not suitable for visitors. I don't mind construction, Daniel insisted pleasantly. Seeing your vision for the future would be valuable for our funding considerations. As they debated, Chloe suddenly clutched her stomach. I don't feel good, she announced, her face paling convincingly. I think I'm going to be sick. The director's attention snapped to the child. There's a restroom just down this hall. I'll take her, Reeves said quickly. You two continue the tour. We'll catch up. Before Dr. Winters could object, Reeves was guiding Chloe toward the hallway that branched east. Children, Daniel said with a manufactured chuckle, drawing the director's attention back. Now, about those renovation plans. 20 minutes later, Daniel had managed to separate from Dr. Winters by claiming a need to make an urgent business call, moving quickly through empty corridors. He followed the path Chloe had described, using a keycard covertly cloned from the director's pass. The East Wing was indeed under renovation, but minimally. Some paint cans and drop cloths suggested a cosmetic refresh rather than significant construction. The hallway was deserted, the rooms spaced farther apart than in other areas they'd toured. Outside room 307, Daniel hesitated, heart pounding. 15 years since he'd seen Claire. What condition would she be in after so long in this place? Would she even recognize him? He swiped the keycard, holding his breath as the lock clicked open. The room beyond was spartanly furnished but comfortable. A bed, desk, bookshelf filled with novels, a small seating area by the window, and there, looking out at the autumn leaves, stood a woman. She turned at the sound of the door, and Daniel felt the world stop. Claire, older, certainly, thinner, her once vibrant red hair now streaked with gray, but her eyes, those remarkable green eyes, were the same, widening now in shock and disbelief. "Danielle!" Her voice was raspy, as if seldom used. "Claire." He took a step forward, then stopped, unsure of his welcome. "I'm sorry it took so long." She stared at him, one hand rising to cover her mouth. "I thought, they told me you knew, that you'd approved." "No." The single word carried 15 years of regret. "I never knew. My father, he kept you here, kept the truth from me. I only discovered it recently." Claire swayed slightly, and Daniel moved forward automatically to steady her. The moment his hands touched her arms, something broke. She collapsed against him, body shaking with silent sobs. "They took him from me," she whispered against his shoulder. "Our son. They let me see him once a year, on his birthday. They told him I was too sick to care for him, that I was dangerous." Daniel held her tighter, rage and grief battling within him. "We're taking you both home today. No more separation. No more lies." Claire pulled back, searching his face. "How did you find us, after all this time?" "It's a long story," Daniel said, thinking of Jessica, of Chloe, of all the tangled threads that had led to this moment. "But we need to hurry. Michael and Chloe should be with our son now, and—" "Chloe." Claire's expression sharpened. "Who's Chloe?" "Jessica's daughter, my niece." Daniel took Claire's hand. "She has abilities. She led us to you." Understanding dawned in Claire's eyes. "The Walker gift, Daniel. Our son has it too. That's why they keep him medicated. His visions frighten them." A sound at the door made them both turn. Michael stood there, his expression grave, alone. "Where's Chloe?" Daniel demanded. "Where's my son?" "Jake Brooks has them," Michael said grimly. "He was waiting in the boys' room. We need to move now." "What do you mean Brooks has them?" Daniel's voice was deadly quiet. "He was waiting in room 312 with 2 men," Michael explained quickly. "Armed. They took Chloe and the boy before I could stop them." Claire's hand tightened around Daniel's. "James. My son's name is James. Security cameras showed them heading for the service entrance," Michael continued. "I managed to get this from one of Brooks's men." He held up a phone. "We can track them. He's using a GPS app to navigate to somewhere called Granite Point. It's an overlook about 15 minutes from here," Claire said. "Private property at the end of a winding road, isolated." Daniel was already moving toward the door. "Call Cooper. Tell him where we're headed and to notify local authorities." "Daniel, wait." Claire caught his arm. "There's something you should know about Jake Brooks. He's not just seeking revenge. He's unstable. He's been visiting me for years, telling me about his plans for the Walker family. He believes the Brooks and Walker bloodlines are mystically linked, that one must be sacrificed for the other to thrive. He's going to kill them." Daniel felt cold terror grip his heart. "Not immediately," Claire said. "He'll want you there. He'll want you to watch." The SUV raced along winding Vermont roads, autumn foliage a blur of red and gold against the darkening afternoon sky. Daniel drove with single-minded intensity, Claire beside him providing directions. Michael in the back coordinating with Cooper by phone. "There!" Claire pointed to a narrow turnoff partially hidden by overgrown bushes. "Granite Point is up that road." Daniel cut the headlights as they turned, navigating the rutted dirt path by the fading daylight. After about a mile, he pulled off into the trees, concealing the vehicle. "We go on foot from here," he said. "Stay behind me, both of you." "I'm coming with you," Michael said firmly, producing a small handgun from his jacket. At Daniel's raised eyebrow, he added, "I wasn't always just a lawyer." They moved through the woods as silently as possible, guided by the GPS signal on the stolen phone. As they crested a small hill, Granite Point came into view, a dramatic rocky outcropping jutting over a steep ravine. the Connecticut River visible in the distance. A black SUV was parked near the edge. 3 figures stood silhouetted against the twilight sky. A man and 2 children. Daniel gestured for Claire and Michael to circle around to the left, while he approached from the right, using the trees and gathering darkness for cover. As he drew closer, he could make out Jake Brooks standing at the edge of the outcropping, Chloe and a teenage boy, James, a few feet away. "I know you're there, Walker," Brooks called out suddenly. "Your stealth leaves much to be desired." Daniel froze, then slowly stepped into the clearing. "Let the children go, Brooks. This is between us." Jake Brooks was a lean, hard-looking man in his early 40s, with the cold eyes of someone disconnected from normal human emotion. "On the contrary," he said, "they are precisely what this is about. The next generation, legacy." His smile was chilling. "Poetic, isn't it? Your sister died giving birth to this one." He gestured to Chloe. "And now her daughter will die on the same land where the Brooks family first established their fortune, before the Walkers stole it all away. You're going to murder children to satisfy some twisted sense of historical justice." Daniel took another careful step forward. "Not just any children," Brooks corrected. "Walker children. The girl with her mother's gift. The boy with the sight so strong they drug him to blindness." He looked at James with something like envy. "My father understood the power in Walker blood. That's why he kept your sister alive until she delivered the child. He hoped to harness that power, raise it as his own." "You're insane," Daniel said flatly, trying to keep Brooks's attention while watching for any sign of Michael and Claire. "Insanity is a matter of perspective." Brooks turned to Chloe, who stood unnaturally still, her eyes fixed on something in the middle distance. "Your niece sees it, don't you, child? The patterns, the destinies intertwined." Chloe didn't respond to Brooks. Instead, she looked directly at Daniel and said calmly, "Mama Jessica says it's time now, for all of it to end." "Smart girl," Brooks laughed. "Yes, it ends today. The curse of 2 families bound by hatred for generations." "There is no curse," Daniel said. "Just people making choices, good and bad. My father made terrible ones. So did yours. We don't have to continue their legacy." "Easy words from the man who has everything," Brooks spat. "You took our company, our reputation, our future, and now I'm taking yours." He pulled out a gun, pointing it first at Chloe, then at James. "Which one first, Walker? Your sister's child or your own son, choose." "Uncle Daniel doesn't have to choose," Chloe said suddenly, her voice eerily adult. "Because you're not going to hurt anyone today." Brooks turned to her, momentarily confused by her certainty. It was all the distraction Daniel needed. He lunged forward as a shot rang out, not from Brooks's gun, but from the tree line where Michael had taken position. Brooks staggered, clutching his shoulder, the gun falling from his grasp before he could recover. Daniel tackled him to the ground, away from the cliff edge, away from the children. "Chloe, James, run!" Daniel shouted as he struggled with Brooks. Despite his injury, Brooks fought with desperate strength, driving an elbow into Daniel's ribs, rolling them both dangerously close to the edge of the outcropping. Below, jagged rocks weighted hundreds of feet down. "Dad," the boy's voice, the first time Daniel had heard it, was followed by Claire's scream as she emerged from the trees, running toward their son. Brooks used Daniel's momentary distraction to gain the upper hand, flipping their positions so that Daniel's head and shoulders hung over the cliff edge, rocks crumbling beneath him. "I win, Walker," Brooks hissed, blood from his wounded shoulder dripping onto Daniel's face. "Even if I die today, I win, because you'll spend the rest of your life knowing you couldn't protect them. Just like you couldn't protect Jessica." Daniel struggled to break free, feeling more of the ledge giving way beneath him. Brooks outweighed him, using gravity and position to his advantage. "You're wrong," Daniel gasped. "Jessica protected herself, through Chloe, through what she set in motion." "Your sister is dead," Brooks snarled. "Her protection died with her." "No, it didn't." The voice came from behind them. Chloe's voice, but somehow different, resonant with another presence. "I never left them, Jake." Brooks's head snapped around, his face contorting in shock. Whatever he saw made him release his grip on Daniel, scrambling backward with a look of pure terror. "Not possible," he whispered. "You're dead." Daniel rolled away from the edge, looking up to see Chloe standing a few feet away. For just a moment, A trick of the twilight, perhaps. He thought he saw a taller female figure superimposed over the child's form. "Death isn't what you think it is," Chloe said, in that same strange dual voice. "Love doesn't end. It transforms." Brooks backed away, shaking his head. "No, no!" His heel met empty air as he reached the cliff edge. Arms pinwheeling, he teetered on the brink. Daniel lunged forward to grab him, instinct overriding everything else. But it was too late. With a final cry, Jake Brooks plummeted into the gathering darkness below. In the silence that followed, Daniel became aware of Claire holding James tightly, Michael standing protectively near them, and Chloe. Just Chloe now. A small 9-year-old girl with amber eyes that had seen too much. Watching him with a sad smile. "It's over," she said in her normal voice. "Mama Jessica says we can go home now." 6 months later, on a perfect spring morning, Daniel stood in the newly landscaped garden where Thompson's home kitchen had once stood. The Jessica Walker Foundation headquarters rose beside it, a modern building of glass and sustainable materials, designed to provide services for children orphaned by violence and families affected by mental illness. Beside him, Chloe knelt in the fresh soil, carefully placing white flowers around a young white oak tree. Jessica's favorite, Claire and James, stood nearby, the teenager still sometimes awkward around the father he was just getting to know. But trying, the evidence Jessica had gathered had done its work. Walker Industries had been restructured, its corrupt elements excised, legitimate business separated from Alan Walker's criminal enterprises. Daniel had made full restitution to families harmed by his father's actions, including establishing a fund for former Brooks construction employees who had lost their livelihoods. Linda Thompson had been laid to rest beside a simple marker bearing Jessica's name. 2 mothers, 1 heart, as Chloe had requested. "Look, Uncle Daniel," Chloe called, pointing to the white oak. Though it was only April, and far too early in the season, tiny white blossoms had appeared on one branch directly above where she stood. "Impossible," the landscaper murmured behind them. "That species doesn't bloom until late May, and never in the first year after planting." Daniel smiled, watching as James approached the tree cautiously, then gasped as a single white blossom drifted down to land on his outstretched hand. "Not impossible," Daniel said quietly. "Just beyond what we can explain." As the children examined the miraculous blooms, Claire slipped her hand into Daniel's. "Do you think she's really still with them?" she asked softly. Daniel thought of all he had witnessed over the past months. Chloe's impossible knowledge, James's emerging abilities as the medications cleared his system, the dreams they both shared of a smiling woman with amber eyes. "I think," he said carefully, "that love is the one force that transcends everything else. Time, space, even death." At the edge of the property, a man stood watching the small family gathered around the flowering tree. Michael Reeves hesitated, then turned to leave. He had said his goodbyes, made his peace. Chloe would always know who her father was, but the child had enough complications in her young life without adding another parental figure. As he reached his car, a white blossom drifted down, landing on his shoulder. Reeves smiled, looking back once more at the impossible tree and the family gathered beneath it. "Goodbye, Jessica," he whispered, before driving away. Not forever, but for now. Under the white oak, Daniel Walker looked at his newly forged family, broken pieces reassembled into something stronger, more beautiful for having been shattered and carefully restored.